Anders Osborne, Soul Coughing, Widespread Panic, and the Steve Miller Band, just to name a few.
Goeiedag. Action painting. Actie schilderen. Kunstenaars die tijdens een of andere gelegenheid, een opening, een feest, gaan schilderen. We kennen ze in Nederland. Herman Brood, Fabrice Hoent. Mensen die vaak in hele felle kleuren en gebruik maken van viltstiften schilderijen maken. Schilderijen geïnspireerd in het moment. Geïnspireerd door wat er gebeurt, door de mensen om hen heen. En dat kan ook een inspiratie zijn door muziek. We praten vandaag met Randy Frenchy. En we noemen hem Frenchy. En hij komt in New Orleans. En hij is een action painter. En gisteravond was ik bij een concert van Lee Scratch Perry. En daar was hij bezig om te schilderen. Een schilderij. En dat hebben we hier ook hangen. En dat werd tijdens het concert gemaakt. En hij heeft het ook aangeboden aan Lee Perry. En was voor ons een reden om eens uit te nodigen om te praten over schilderen, over action painting, over wat dat eigenlijk betekent. Welcome, Frenchy.
Thank you.
Well, I was amazed yesterday because you came with this picture, which is actually behind you, which captured both the mood and the colors very, very well.
Indeed.
And we can show that because we were there with the camera.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yes, it was a good show, and a little bit dark for television, but there was this magic with all the lights, all the different colors.
Yes, and the people.
Yeah.
Everybody showed up and had a good time. And
Yeah.
Just a lot of good energy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, in a way, it was. It's called reggae or dub reggae, but it was this music that has this magical, enchanting effect. Yeah, not to mention the little ganga that was smoked.
Yeah, there was a little smoke in the air last night.
Yeah,
but Lee Scratch definitely has the wisdom and the years of performing behind him, that when he performs he creates his own energy, and that gets thrown up into the atmosphere.
Yeah, he becomes like an oracle there, you know. I can not all the time understand what he's saying, but there's a lot of Haile Selassie there and Kali, and you know, he weaves these words all the time. Yeah,
it's real.
It's
very
was
real.
magic energy. Now, you are what we in Holland call an action painter. Is that a word that's used in the States too?
Yes. Yeah. Basically, just go out to the gigs and set up with the energy. The action, I think, comes in as far as when you're getting caught up in the actual creating of the painting. Your body movements involuntary just start going, kind of like dancing, and people kind of relate that with action.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess, and you're capturing action that's going on as well.
Yes,
I mean, I paint. You know, stuff from.
But you dance and you paint and you. Now, before you start, do you have an idea what the result is going to be, or that kind of?
No idea.
No idea. That comes up as it is.
It just evolves, brushstroke by brushstroke.
Yeah, and it takes you about an hour to make a thing like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can time myself. As long as I know how much time I have to work mentally, I know how long I'm going with the painting, and that way there. You know, I can do it in an hour. I can do it in 2 hours. I can do it over sets.
Okay.
I like doing paintings like just one shot and just kind of letting it out.
Let it out. But you use basic colors or not, or are you mixing your paint as you go?
I probably have about 10 colors on my palette. And as I'm painting, I paint wet into wet, so a lot of the colors get blended in together. So there's absolutely no thought process, and I just get fortunate to end up with nice color patterns and brushstrokes.
Now, you're from New Orleans, and that's where, the Saints came marching in, so to speak.
The Saints, jazz, the home of jazz and blues. It's in the swamp. It's an old city like Amsterdam, a port city. It's got a lot of culture.
A lot of a black culture mixed with the French culture.
It's like 80% African American in New Orleans. But that's mixed in with all the cultures, from Spanish to French to the Indians. Yeah. But it creates an awesome
atmosphere. Yeah, I've seen, of course, I've been to New Orleans, but I always, when you have a painting when there's this little French like building on the side, you know, oh, that's New Orleans. It's quite an easy things to mark in your mind to to know where it is. New Orleans, is that an inspiration for the music? But is there also an art scene with lots of painters?
Lots of painters, lots of performers, lots of people just getting through life and just being themselves. A lot of reality in New Orleans, which helps, I think, in the painting psyche. That and the music, any given night of the week, there's 30 live performances going on in this little bitty city. It's just truly amazing.
Yeah. My experience is that in the States, it's Boston for being New England and being European, a little bit Northern European. It's San Francisco for being global and crazy, and it's New Orleans. Those three cities make me feel, the European, that this is the global thing. Los Angeles is more like big and vast.
In New York,
but that's a different world.
Yeah, New Orleans is different than all those cities as well, because it's just a different place.
Different flavor. Now, your name is Randy Frechette.
Frechette.
Yes. You're from a French family that lived there?
Originally, I was born in Boston.
Oh.
Funny you mentioned Boston. My father and grandfather are ex-professional boxers out of Massachusetts and French-Canadian. They were brought up speaking French, but I was the baby of the litter, so I was too busy drawing to learn how to speak French.
To pick up the language. But you picked up the colors and the vibration. Now, you've been doing this since when?
Well, the color stuff really came out. I started painting, just like any other artist, from photographs, from my imagination, whatever, just kind of like semi-realism stuff. And then I was invited to come out and paint a band while they were performing. And then that was, I fell in love.
On a whole...
love at first sight.
Yeah.
I did that, and then all those colors came out of me, and I was like, what the hell did I just do, It was an amazing
But how
feeling.
did it go? So it's like a commission from the band?
No, I was actually... These are just friends that just invited me out. This is the first time I painted a band, to the energy of them actually performing. Yeah. And ever since then, I've probably done about 700 since then.
700 bands and musical performances.
Yeah.
Well, we have here Lee Perry. Who are these?
This is the Funky Meters.
The Funky Meters.
A New Orleans band. I'm very much into funk. I like funk a lot. And jazz. I like horns and keys. Some nice beat,
Yeah. Not unintentionally in the middle, not a band, but
another source of inspiration.
Yeah.
Well,
cannabis.
Yeah, I like to smoke cannabis.
Yeah.
And I like to paint cannabis. It's a fabulous plant. It's a wonderful flower. It's got a lot of intricacies to it, I like it.
Yeah. Well, Amsterdam is the place where that is, at least that's legal.
Yeah, I don't get arrested painting pants here.
No. Yeah. Would you in the States?
In America, I'd get arrested. I'd have to go to probation and drug rehab and a couple of $1,000.
Just for painting?
No, for smoking.
For smoking. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that's you have to become sick first to be allowed in some states to smoke it. California and Arizona. Say you're not only doing now bands, but you've expanded into sports, and that started with the Atlanta Olympics.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it did. Yeah, I started at the Atlanta Olympics, and I really got into when I went to the games and I saw the athletes and as they were getting prepared and their passion and all the work they put forth and the energy level there is just phenomenal. And then you have all these cultures from every country in the world that come together in a peaceful event, so it's really an amazing sight. So I saved up my pennies and went to this last
Sydney thing.
Sydney.
Yeah, how was that?
Did you my first stamp on my passport?
You never been outside the States before?
Not till this year.
Yeah, that's funny that Americans, many of them when they're young, they come to Europe, they do Europe on $5 a day in 3 days and see everything, but so you haven't been out there. But Sydney, like what we've heard and what we've seen is that there was quite an uproar about the rights of the Aboriginals and that they used the occasion to make their point. Did you pick up on that? Yes,
there's a lot of, the Aborigines are a real oppressed society, and they were really screwed over by the white man, Yeah. So that's a real tender subject still in Australia, because it's just back in the late 50s that a lot of that happened.
Yeah, and the kids were taken away. And
the lost generation. Yeah. Their music's really spiritual, very powerful, and very connected to the land. My next
the
trip to
didgeridoo
Australia,
kind of deep tones.
Oh yeah, the didgeridoos are a wonderful instrument, especially when it's played right.
Yeah. Can you see a connection between the sound they make and their paintings? Is that like a similar energy?
Yeah, I never really thought about that, Luke, but now you mention it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
The points that they have there, it's yeah.
Yeah, it's almost similar to the work out front here in the songs. You know, you can see how they're related together.
Yeah.
It's a very spiritual culture. The Aborigines are.
Yeah. You know, there's many other indigenous tribes, and I happen to know about the ayahuasca cultures in the Brazilian forest, where sound and vision, especially in a psychedelic setting, are, you know, they become one.
Yeah.
The sound becomes the visual becomes the sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
That happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, you know. It's really just a feeling. I'm just a kid from the city, you know. I might as well be from Amsterdam.
But are you a frustrated musician that you say, well, this was my chance to be part of the music scene, or whatever?
No, I just love to paint, and the music is definitely, it's what we call in New Orleans lagniappe. It's just extra stuff without asking for it. And when I
say that again, lagniappe.
Lagniappe.
Yeah. Yes.
It's all lagniappe.
It's like grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes and
it's all
enriches
good.
our lives without
asking.
Without asking. Yeah.
Lagniappe.
I want to talk a little bit about your inspiration, because you go in a crowd and tell me about how that goes magically. I mean,
well, it all starts with cutting the wood, screwing the frame together.
Wait, that's you do yourself.
Stretching the canvas on. Well, these actually I bought here. These are stretcher bars, where you just piece them together and then you stretch the canvas on. But at home, I like to get some wood and cut it up and make the canvas. And you think you got the gig coming up, and it's just like a musician going into it. It's just a psyche getting ready.
But that's a very magical
to
act
take in
because
all this. Yeah, I light sage before I paint.
Okay, so you really, and this is like what the magical thing. All the tools you use in magic, and I mean, well, the magic that matters. You have to make your own knife, and you have to make your own tools. Yes, goblet or whatever. That's the best idea to.
I don't know much about magic.
Yeah, well, I happen to have a comet that for some reason I got some piece of like this from a comet, and I know that one day I have to carve that myself into a magical whatever. A container or even a knife. I don't know what the material is. Maybe I can hammer it into a knife or something. But that's. You feel the magic of that, something that has been out in space, landed on Earth, like a very heavy, I think it contains a lot of metal, piece out of the sky that fell on Earth.
That's crazy.
And that is where, and that's
Can
the
I have
idea.
a piece to make a paintbrush?
What? That would be to make a paintbrush out of that. But when you say you start making your own tools, that's the first lesson of applied magic, is that you have to, whatever you use has to come from you. Yes. So theoretically, you go dig in the earth with your hands, then you make yourself and create something that you then use as a tool, which is totally yours.
Right. At one time it was a pile of wood, and then now it's a signed painting.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that, with the energy that.
Yeah. So the preparation starts beforehand.
Yes.
And then when you come into the crowd, I mean, do you talk with the other people around you?
Lots of people come up and talk to me, and I it's cool. I just stay focused, and then I like that because I can use their energy in the painting. And people that are watching me that I necessarily can't see, but I can feel them, their energy gets thrown into the painting as well. And of course the musicians, especially when I have a relationship with the musicians and we're friends, and there's lots of circumstances like that. So the painting is much more intense, because it's not only am I just painting this band that's performing, I'm painting my friends that I know their thought process. And they look at me, I look at them, and it's really woven in tighter. It's a nice.
Yeah, as I said before, did this. William James, an American writer, and the brother of Henry James, the novelist, and he was really the father of psychology. And out of his work, which I was reading this week, I got this notion that the most practical magic is friendship.
Yeah.
And what you're saying there is actually elucidating that having the connection there, you get creative.
Yeah. At Jazz Fest in New Orleans, all my friends come from all around the country, and then at any point I could be in the middle of painting and look down and see people that I love that I haven't seen in years. And right in the middle of painting, music that I really love in the city that I really love, with
Then
people
it
that I
happens.
really love.
Yeah.
It's just
Magic things happen. Now, you've done 700 bands. Some of them must be pretty famous. Tell me a few.
yeah, some are. Yeah, I guess here in the Netherlands, you know Willie Nelson. Huh? Willie Nelson. There's so many. Let me look. It's hard to think of famous. I just think of everybody the same. When you say famous, it's hard to kind of pinpoint. Widespread Panic, Steve Winwood, Lenny Kravitz, the Doobie Brothers, the Allman Brothers.
Have you done like classical artists, like a guy who plays the violin or whatever?
I have done one Philharmonic, which was quite amazing because you have all that sound coming to you, but you have to work really fast.
There's a lot of guys.
There's 40 guys on stage. But I'd like to do a big abstract painting to like a symphony, which would be pretty wild. I think.
Yeah, to get that.
It'd probably be the only way to truly capture their energy.
Yeah.
Would be just a big abstract painting.
Now, for people to get a little more, we will show you some pictures here, but to get a little bit more idea, you have a website. So
Yeah.
where do we find it?
It's www.frenchylive.
Frenchy Live.
Yes.
One word. .com.
.com.
No, which is the .com. We live in a world where I say, well, .com is .com, of course. You know, it's the con man.
Yeah, I guess we just kind of got it up for. It's really worked out real well for us on the road in different countries. You know, you can still communicate with people, and it's it doesn't cost anything. You just have to keep the website up.
But you've had your share of publicity. I've seen you've been on CNN and the major networks.
Yeah, people, I guess, enjoy what I do. And
yeah, well, it's for a television maker. It's very visual. It's attractive, and you know what you're doing, and that's also very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, talking about action painting and the practical magic of creation, because that's what we did. Frenchy,
Yeah,
thank
right.
you for being here.
Thank you, Luke. I really appreciate it.